My beloved child, your soulmate's mother has been looking for you, and what happened just before the wedding changed everything. She was standing there, surrounded by people who thought they knew exactly how the day would end. Everyone believed the decision had already been made. The clothes were ready. The plans were in motion. The future seemed already written. But then she asked one question that made the entire room go silent. Where is the person my child truly loves? And that question was not asked casually. She had noticed something that nobody else wanted to acknowledge. Your soulmate had been carrying an emotion they could no longer hide, and their mother had finally connected the pieces. She remembered the moments when your soulmate became unusually quiet whenever your name came up. She remembered the way their expression changed whenever someone mentioned the past. She remembered a conversation that seemed meaningless at the time. But suddenly, today, every word had a different meaning. And now she wants to find you because she believes there is something you deserve to hear directly from her. But here is where this story becomes impossible to ignore. She did not stop everything because she wanted to create a scene. She stopped because she realized your soulmate may have been preparing to make a life-changing decision while keeping their real feelings buried. And when a mother sees that her child is about to walk into a future while their heart is somewhere else, there comes a moment when silence becomes impossible. That moment has arrived. Somewhere right now, your soulmate is thinking about the last meaningful moment between you two. They may remember something you said that you thought they had forgotten. They may remember the look on your face when you walked away. They may remember how you tried to remain strong even though you wanted answers. And their mother may now be asking the question that your soulmate has avoided for far too long: if you were truly ready to let this person go, then why have you never stopped thinking about them? That question changed the atmosphere completely. Because your soulmate knew the answer. And there is something even more surprising about what happened next. Their mother did not immediately ask your soulmate to explain everything. Instead, she started looking for information about you. She wanted to understand who you were beyond whatever version of the story she had heard before. She wanted to know what kind of person could still occupy such a powerful place in her child's thoughts after so much time had passed. And the more she learned, the more confused she became about why you were not standing beside her child in the first place. She began noticing contradictions. Your soulmate had apparently moved forward, yet certain memories remained untouched. They could talk about other people, other plans, other possibilities, but when your name entered the conversation, something changed. Their confidence disappeared. Their answers became shorter. Their eyes said more than their words. Their mother noticed. And mothers often notice the details people believe they are hiding. Then came the moment that nobody expected. She asked your soulmate whether they were genuinely happy with the decision being made. Not whether everything looked perfect. Not whether everyone else approved. She asked whether their heart was at peace. Your soulmate could not give her the answer she wanted. That silence became the answer. And suddenly, the wedding was no longer the most important thing in the room. The real question became whether your soulmate was about to choose a future simply because it was easier than admitting what they still felt for you. Their mother realized that there was a difference between moving on and actually letting go. Your soulmate may have convinced themselves that enough time had passed, that circumstances had changed, that the chapter with you was finished. But emotions do not always disappear simply because people stop talking. Sometimes they become quieter. Sometimes they hide underneath routine. Sometimes they appear only in the middle of an ordinary night when there is nobody around to distract the heart. And that is what their mother may have finally discovered. Your soulmate was not as detached as they had pretended to be. They were trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that they had already made peace with losing you. But one question exposed the truth. Then something happened that made your soulmate realize their mother was no longer going to accept half-truths. She asked them to describe you. Not your appearance. Not your job. Not where you came from. She asked what made you different. Your soulmate became quiet again. And after a long pause, they started remembering things that had nothing to do with appearances. They remembered how you made them feel understood without demanding an explanation. They remembered conversations that lasted longer than expected. They remembered moments when you were there without needing recognition. They remembered the version of themselves they became around you, the version that did not need to pretend everything was fine. Their mother listened carefully. And then she asked the question that may have changed the entire direction of this story. If this person means so little to you, why do you remember so much? Your soulmate had no easy answer. Because the truth was not about some perfect fantasy. It was about unfinished emotion. It was about the things neither of you said when you still had the chance. It was about the possibility that both of you misunderstood the silence between you. Maybe your soulmate believed you had stopped caring. Maybe you believed they had chosen someone else without looking back. Maybe both of you were waiting for the other person to make the first move while time quietly created distance. And now their mother is looking at the situation from outside, seeing something your soulmate could not see while trapped inside it. She sees two people who may have walked away from each other without ever receiving the complete truth. But she also knows something else. If she is going to search for you, she does not want to bring you empty words. She wants to understand what happened first. That is why she may be trying to find the exact moment when everything changed between you and your soulmate. She wants to know what was said, what was misunderstood, and what was left unsaid. Because according to what she has discovered, there may be one conversation your soulmate has replayed more times than they would ever admit. One moment they wish they could return to. One sentence they wish they had said differently. And one truth they have been carrying quietly ever since. But you have not heard that truth yet. Your soulmate has not said it directly. And their mother may be the person who finally forces that hidden truth into the open. Right now, the biggest mystery is not simply why the wedding was stopped. The bigger mystery is what your soulmate's mother discovered immediately before she made that decision. Because there was apparently one final piece of information that changed everything she thought she knew. It may have come from a conversation, an old memory, a message, or something your soulmate finally admitted when they realized pretending was no longer working. And whatever it was, it connected directly back to you. Their mother understood that the person standing beside her child was not necessarily the person occupying their deepest thoughts. She realized that your soulmate had been trying to make a decision with their mind while their heart kept returning to the same unresolved place. You. That realization did not automatically solve everything. It created a bigger question: where are you now, and would you even listen if your soulmate finally told you everything? Because their mother knows there is another side to this story. She knows you may have your own reasons for stepping away. You may have felt rejected. You may have believed your soulmate had chosen a different path. You may have spent a long time teaching yourself not to expect anything from them anymore. And if their mother truly wants to find you, she has to understand that she cannot simply appear in your life and expect you to forget everything that happened. She has to understand your silence too. That is why this search may be more emotional than you realize. She is not only looking for your location. She is looking for the missing piece of her child's story. And somewhere behind all of this, your soulmate is facing a truth they have avoided for far too long. The future they were about to accept was never the future their heart had completely chosen. Their mother stopped the wedding because she could no longer watch her child move forward while carrying someone else in their heart. And now, before she reaches you, there is one final thing she wants to know. Whether you still have even the smallest place in your heart for the person who never truly stopped remembering you. Because the answer to that question may determine what happens next. There is a moment your soulmate's mother keeps replaying in her mind, because that was the exact moment she realized this was never just about a wedding. She had watched your soulmate surrounded by people, smiling when expected to smile, answering questions when expected to answer, acting as though everything was perfectly settled. But then someone mentioned your name. Just once. And the expression on your soulmate's face changed so quickly that almost everyone missed it. Almost everyone except their mother. She saw the pause. She saw the sudden distance in their eyes. She saw the way they looked down as though a memory had appeared without permission. And that was when she stopped thinking about the ceremony and started thinking about you. She wanted to know why your soulmate could speak confidently about the future but could not speak naturally about the person from their past. She wanted to know why your memory still had the power to interrupt an otherwise ordinary conversation. So she asked again, more gently this time, what happened between you two? Your soulmate tried to dismiss it. They tried to make the story sound simple. They said things had changed. They said too much time had passed. They said there were reasons. But their mother noticed something important. None of those answers explained why your soulmate still remembered the smallest details about you. The exact things you used to say. The little habits. The moments when you were unexpectedly kind. The conversation that ended badly. The goodbye that never felt complete. And then their mother realized something that made her heart sink, not because she wanted to interfere, but because she understood that her child had been carrying an unfinished story into a completely different future. She asked your soulmate one final question: if you could have one honest conversation with that person before making this decision, would you take it? Your soulmate did not answer immediately. And that silence told her everything she needed to know. The wedding plans could wait. The truth could not. What happened after that was even more unexpected, because your soulmate finally admitted something they had been afraid to say aloud: they never actually got closure with you. They had told themselves that they did. They had acted like they did. They had allowed time, distance, and new circumstances to create the appearance of closure. But deep down, there remained one unanswered question that kept returning whenever they were alone. What if I had told them the truth? That question became heavier as the wedding approached. Your soulmate began remembering every opportunity they had to be honest but chose silence instead. Maybe they were afraid of rejection. Maybe pride got in the way. Maybe they believed you no longer wanted them. Maybe someone around them influenced the way they understood your actions. Whatever the reason, your soulmate now sees that silence created a story that neither of you properly confirmed. And their mother realized that this was not simply romantic nostalgia. It was regret over something that might have been handled differently. She wanted to know whether you had ever been told the complete truth. Then your soulmate confessed something that made her stop and listen even more carefully. There was a particular moment involving you that they had never explained to anyone. A moment when they wanted to reach out but stopped. A moment when they wrote something, stared at it, and then decided not to send it. A moment when they almost turned around, almost called, almost said what they truly felt, but chose the safer option instead. And that unsent truth has apparently stayed with them. Their mother understood that if she wanted to find you, she could not begin with accusations or demands. She needed to begin with honesty. Because if you had already convinced yourself that this chapter was over, then hearing from their mother could bring back emotions you had worked hard to settle. She knew that. And still, she decided to search for you. Not because she could guarantee what would happen next, but because she believed you deserved the truth before anyone asked you to make a decision about your soulmate. But there is another side to this story that your soulmate's mother may not have expected at all. She discovered that you may have been misunderstood from the beginning. Somewhere along the way, something about you was interpreted incorrectly. A message may have been taken the wrong way. A silence may have been mistaken for indifference. A decision you made to protect yourself may have looked like rejection. And your soulmate may have built an entire emotional conclusion around something that was never fully explained. Imagine carrying the belief that someone stopped caring about you when, in reality, they were waiting for you to show that you cared. Imagine both people standing on opposite sides of the same silence, each believing the other had already moved on. That possibility is what made their mother start questioning everything she had previously heard. She began wondering whether your soulmate had been telling themselves a simplified version of the past because the full version was too painful to face. And then she noticed another detail. Whenever your soulmate talked about the future, they could describe the plans, the responsibilities, and the expectations, but when asked what they genuinely wanted, their answer became uncertain. That uncertainty frightened their mother more than any argument could have. Because a person can follow a plan while still wondering whether it is truly their choice. She did not want her child to make a permanent decision based only on momentum. So she stopped everything and began searching for the person whose name had remained hidden underneath all those explanations. You. And now there is a possibility your soulmate's mother is not searching for you simply to bring you back into their child's life. She may be searching because she wants to hear your side before she believes anyone's version completely. She wants to know what you felt. What you knew. What you misunderstood. And most importantly, what you would have said if you had known what your soulmate was secretly feeling. All along. Because if your side of the story changes everything, then the wedding was never the real ending. It was only the moment when the truth finally refused to stay hidden. And now comes the part your soulmate has been dreading most. Their mother has reportedly asked for one thing before she allows this situation to move forward: honesty without excuses. No blaming you. No rewriting the past. No pretending that everything happened for a simple reason. Your soulmate has to admit what they felt, what they feared, and why they allowed you to believe something that may not have been true. That conversation could become the most emotional conversation they have ever had with their mother. Because once the truth is spoken, your soulmate cannot hide behind the old story anymore. And there is one confession sitting at the center of everything: they may have realized too late that losing your presence was much easier to pretend than actually accept. They may have discovered that they could continue living their routine without you, but they could not completely erase the question of what their life might have looked like if they had chosen honesty sooner. Their mother understands that this does not mean you automatically owe your soulmate another chance. She understands that your feelings matter too. She understands that trust cannot be restored with one dramatic conversation. But she also believes that you should not have to carry a misunderstanding forever. That is why she is looking for you. She wants to bring the missing truth to the person who was never given the complete story. And your soulmate is now facing something they never expected: their mother is no longer asking whether they remember you. She is asking whether they are finally prepared to tell you why they never truly stopped. The answer is getting closer. The search is getting more serious. And there is one specific detail your soulmate's mother discovered that your soulmate has not yet told you, the detail that explains why, even after everything changed, your name kept appearing in the most unexpected places inside their memories. That revelation is where this story takes its biggest turn. Something changed the moment your soulmate realized their mother was no longer asking questions about the wedding, she was asking questions about you. Until then, your soulmate could keep everything separated in their mind. There was the future everyone expected, and then there was the part of their heart they rarely discussed. But suddenly those two worlds collided. Their mother looked directly at them and asked, "What did you never tell this person?" Your soulmate went completely quiet. Not because there was nothing to say, but because there was too much. There was the truth behind the distance. The reason certain conversations ended before they were supposed to. The reason your soulmate sometimes seemed close and then suddenly pulled away. And most importantly, the reason they allowed you to believe they were completely finished with you when they were not. Their mother had already sensed that something was missing, but she wanted to hear it from them. And eventually, your soulmate admitted that there was one decision they made years ago that they now question more than anything else. They chose silence at a moment when honesty could have changed everything. They thought silence would protect them from disappointment. They thought time would make the feelings disappear. They thought eventually another future would feel just as natural. But as the wedding approached, your soulmate discovered something they could no longer ignore. The future they were preparing for kept reminding them of the future they once imagined with you. A certain place. A certain song. A familiar phrase. A date. A memory that should have become ordinary but somehow remained incredibly specific. Their mother noticed the pattern. And when she finally asked, "Is this still about them?" your soulmate could not deny it. That was the moment she understood that the person your soulmate had been trying to forget was not simply someone from the past. You were connected to a part of their identity they had never completely released. And suddenly, the wedding stopped looking like a celebration of certainty. It started looking like a decision being made before the most important truth had been spoken. Then came the discovery that made your soulmate's mother change the way she saw the entire situation. She learned that your soulmate had kept something connected to you, not necessarily something dramatic, but something deeply personal that they could have thrown away a long time ago. They had kept it because some part of them could not bring themselves to erase the evidence that your story had mattered. Maybe it was an old message. Maybe it was a photograph hidden away. Maybe it was a small object with no obvious value to anyone else. Whatever it was, their mother realized it had survived because your soulmate had never truly treated your connection as meaningless. And that detail became important because your soulmate had spent so much time telling everyone that the past was finished. Their mother did not need to accuse them of lying. She simply asked why they had kept something they supposedly no longer cared about. Your soulmate had no immediate response. They finally admitted that every time they tried to let go completely, some memory brought them back to the same question: did I walk away too soon? That question had followed them quietly. It appeared during ordinary moments, when they were driving alone, lying awake at night, or watching something that reminded them of a conversation you once had. And the closer the wedding came, the louder that question became. Their mother finally understood why your soulmate had seemed emotionally distracted. It was not necessarily because they wanted to ruin the plans. It was because they were realizing that a major decision was approaching while one chapter of their heart had never been properly closed. And here is the part that may hit hardest: your soulmate's mother is beginning to understand that you might have no idea how much of this was happening behind the scenes. You may have believed your soulmate moved forward effortlessly. You may have thought they forgot you. You may have assumed that their silence meant they had no feelings left. Meanwhile, your soulmate may have been silently wondering whether you ever cared enough to come back. Both sides may have been waiting for evidence from the other. And while neither person moved, the distance became the evidence. That is how misunderstandings become histories. That is how two people can